But overall, I thought the N1 was super easy. Like I got a perfect score in one try, and I finished the test in like half the time, and then I like put my head down on the desk to like flex on all the other students. I was like, if this was anything less than perfect, I would have been like ultra disappointed in myself.
Hey guys, welcome back to the KoreKara podcast. So this week we talked to Patrick, who you guys might know as Shirobon, or the disciple of AJAT on Twitter. So he's been studying Japanese for over 11 years. So in the podcast, we talk about his experience learning Japanese, moving to Japan, and also his experience using SuperMemo, an advanced space repetition system.
But you know what we've been doing for over 11 years? Absolutely shocking, the like button, guys. So make sure you do that and follow us on Twitter.
You guys enjoy the podcast. All right, so Patrick, can you give us a quick background of who you are and where you're at today?
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Patrick. I've been living in Japan currently for about a year and a half at this point. And I've been doing AJAT for about 11 years at this point. I started in November 2010, and I was pretty hardcore about it for the first few years. And then since then, I've kind of just been on maintenance mode, just doing a lot more passive than active. And then always had a dream to come to Japan and live here. And then a year and a half ago, I made it reality.
So you've been actually like fluent in Japanese for a lot longer since since coming here to Japan, right?
Yeah, so I would say I was like at probably 90% of my current level in like 2014, which would have been like 3 years into the process. And then since then, I kind of took things back a little. I guess you could say I got lazy, but
right.
I just kind of like maintaining sense.
Okay, so what about like speaking wise? Because a lot of AJATers, they really focus on immersion and don't really have that much opportunity to speak. What was your approach for becoming able to speak?
I mean, just like all the other AJATers, it was all immersion. So I didn't really do much for speaking. And I mean, I lived in a place in Texas where there was like no Japanese people at all. So there was like no one in real life to talk to in Japanese as well. So I kind of like, I guess you could say I neglected speaking all the time until I came to Japan, because I didn't really like talk to anyone on the internet either. I didn't really put like any like focus on speaking.
So this was like a 10 years until first output type of situation.
Speaking Japanese for the first time after 10 years of AJAT.
I mean, yeah, pretty much you could say that.
And what's the result? Like, so just pure native.
Yeah, did it go as you expected?
I mean, most of my interactions, they seem to like just treat me as like a normal Japanese person. So I guess that's okay.
You just opened your mouth and native Japanese started flowing out.
I wouldn't say.
Is that what happened?
I wouldn't say my Japanese, especially spoken, is close to native. But I mean, I guess it's pretty Jozu. But
right.
But it's nowhere near.
That's the Japanese in you talking.
Yeah, the native Japanese person you is talking right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's nowhere where I want to be right now, and there's still a lot more room for improvement to, I guess, be realistic about it. But it's decent.
Let me just rephrase the question then, because I think we can get to the bottom of this. So, how much did you shock Japanese people when you first started speaking Japanese in Japan? I think that's what we need to get to the bottom of here.
All right. Well, I guess you could say I completely blew their mind. I mean, like there was I went to a few parties like with friends and with my girlfriend. Like we just like go to a few parties or whatever. And like most of the people there, I don't know them. So first I introduced myself to them, and they're all like, "Oh my god! Like, how do you speak Japanese?" And I was just like, I don't know. I've been studying for like 10 years, I guess. And then they're like, oh, well, okay.
Oh, so you like the shock value instantly went away as soon as you said 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, like once the years get longer and longer, then I guess it becomes more obvious that you can speak. Like if you're like fluent after like 2 years, then their mind's gonna be completely blown. But if you like pull out, I've been studying for 10, 11 years, and they're like, oh, okay.
Maybe the play is you just always divide by 10 years to your actual amount of time spent learning Japanese. It's like the formula to shock Japanese people.
Yep.
What if you've been learning for like a month?
That means like you learn Japanese in like a day or less than a day.
earlier you mentioned that you go to these parties with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Does your girlfriend happen to be Japanese?
Yeah, she's Japanese.
Do you feel like there's any help towards your speaking ability from that at all?
I mean, I feel like there probably has been, but I like considering like how I feel when I actually speak, how I felt speaking, like I guess confidence wise and ability to find the words wise, like from 1 year ago and like one now and right now, like I kind of feel the same. So, maybe realistically there was a benefit, but like mentally speaking, I feel the same. I guess one tangible benefit is I think my pitch accent has improved because like she used to like point fun at it. She's like you sound so weird. It's like, well, like all your words at the end, they like seem to rise, and until she told me that, like I totally like didn't realize that. And then after she said that, I started like thinking about my own speech. I was like, damn, like pretty much all my sentences, like they just like consistently rise in tone. So I mean, after that, I kind of like put more, I guess, focus into paying attention to like what other people are saying, like how they're saying it, and then I guess trying to imitate it in my own speech. And I feel like probably because of that, my pitch accent has improved to a degree. Because like honestly, until I came here, like I knew about pitch accent, like from like Matt's videos talking about it, and like Dogan has this pitch accent series, but I was kind of just like brushed it off, you could say. I was like, it's kind of a pain to study, and I'm sure I can figure it out eventually, like naturally, just through enough immersion. But I mean, I guess after 11 years, if you can't figure it out, then it's a sign that maybe you need to put a little more conscious effort into it.
And I guess one other thing is like you took the JLPT N1,
Yeah.
right? What was your experience with that, and like how'd you do?
Okay, so I took the JLPT N1 in December 2019. So that would have been like 9 years after I started AJET, and like I got a perfect score in one try. And I finished the test, like the written portion of the test, in like half the time, and then I like put my head down on the desk to like flex on all the other students. But I mean, I thought the N1 was really easy. It's easier than my immersion, right? Like if you're like reading like regular books and like news or whatever, like the N1 is easier than that. So it kind of felt like I was like a native English speaker taking like a English test made for like fifth graders. That's pretty much what the like JLPT N1 is.
Would you say like you literally didn't see any words you didn't know on the test?
Yeah, dude, like there was no guessing at all. It's like I knew all the answers. It was like so easy.
Damn.
Like and like the listening portion too. Like I know the listening portion can get a lot of people because there's also like
they kind of trick you.
I mean, yeah, they kind of trick you. And there's also like it also kind of like relies on your ability to like memorize. That they'll like ask you like, or they'll say like a bunch of things and you got to like write it down. And then at the end they're gonna ask you, it's like what X did Y or whatever, right? Like those kind of questions.
Right,
so if you just don't remember, then you can get those wrong. But I made a point to like write down everything that I heard, so it's like I wouldn't get tripped up on the like memorization part. But overall, I thought the N1 was super easy. And when I got a perfect score in the mail on like the certificate,
yeah,
I was like, if this was anything less than perfect, I would have been like ultra disappointed in myself. Because like learns Japanese for 10 years and like doesn't get perfect score on the N1. That would have been pretty disappointing.
Have you looked into any other tests? I know there's like, I think there's like another one that's like harder.
Yeah, there's
like a business one.
Yeah, it's I forgot the name of the test, but it's like ran by the Kanken organization, and it's like a business test. I was looking into that, but it just seems like a pain to like take. It's
Right.
like I had better things to do than like sit and take this like multiple hour like standardized test. I mean, I'm not even sure how well it'll like help my career prospects either, because it's
That's
like
true.
I feel like N1 is good enough to begin with, and then if you've been like, if your resume says that, like you've been working at Japanese companies, then it's probably fine.
But imagine taking a test with Japanese people and then putting your head down and flexing on them. Just imagine that feeling. That's probably better than
Taking
any
the
work
Kanken.
prospect.
Dude,
Yeah.
Like you and putting your head.
Dude, I mean, like you say that, but I'm actually studying for the Kanken right now, so that'll be a goal in the near future.
Oh damn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like
You're gonna have the hidden camera inside of you putting your head down.
Yeah, we have to see this now. We have to see it. I mean, I did hear about one like newer study method popping up. I think Eric has taken pretty good advantage of this, but this is just only immersing in the KoreKara podcast. I know this has gotten proven results to getting in JLPT, Kanken, the business test that Patrick was just talking. Any test actually in any language, you know. So hook up all your monitors, hook up your AirPods, hook it all up. It's the way to do it.
Sounds promising.
I guess like okay, after like 9, you took it after 9 years, right?
Pretty much.
Were you still doing Anki at that time?
Okay, so at that point, it's like ever since like I finished my hardcore phase of Japanese learning with AJET, it's like I kind of had like a rough road with Anki where it's like I would like stop doing Anki for like a month and I'd have like 2,000 reps pile up, and then it's like over the course of 2 days I just like blast through them, and then I like kind of continued that for like years and years, and then at one point I just kind of stopped using Anki, and that was probably around like 8 years in, because I was like I'm like so bad with like using Anki now. It's like there's no point in like use a month and then like falling off the horse again.
And so you were still adding cards throughout those the years where you were not doing consistently?
Yeah, so I mean I had phases of adding cards. It's like I would get like a rush of motivation, and then I'd like add a lot more cards, and then it's like the motivation would die off, and then I would like rep the cards for a while, and then I'd like stop repping them, and then like 2 months later, I'd be like, damn, like, what am I doing? It's like, I got to be studying my Anki cards. So then it's like, I get a rush of motivation from the shame of like not doing it. And it was just like a cycle that like continued over and over.
Seems like a common AJETer pattern. But
yeah.
Do you know how many cards you got to?
Okay, so at the end of like my hardcore phase, you know, probably like 2 years after the end of my hardcore phase, I had added in total like 1,000. But I deleted a lot of my cards too. So like my active card count was like 9,500 or so. So a little under 10,000. So that means like over the time I deleted like 2,500 cards.
Right.
But yeah, pretty much like 10,000 you could say.
And I guess like another thing is that I saw on Twitter that you were experimenting with SuperMemo.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I guess like for people who don't know, SuperMemo is actually one of the first programs that use the spaced repetition, right?
Yeah, so it's like the first, made by the guy who like made the like original algorithms.
Yeah, and so apparently like it's a spaced repetition program like Anki, but it's like the most advanced algorithm like known to man for like spaced repetition. Like Anki's actually a very like rudimentary algorithm, and this guy has like the most like advanced one, but you have to pay for it, and it's only on Windows.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess like what was your experience using SuperMemo?
Just using the program, like just in terms of using the program. Anki is way more of a, I guess, user-friendly experience. Like when it comes to like making cards, it's like way more convenient with the templates and stuff. And being able to like do your reps on like your mobile device is like probably the biggest thing for everybody. But in terms of the like actual algorithm, like SuperMemo, the algorithm is a lot more efficient and you have way less reps, but you have way less reps at the cost of your retention rate. So the way SuperMemo works is that you specify a target retention rate. So you say like, I want to remember 90% of all my material at repetitions, right? And so like there's no concept of that in Anki, right? It's like you just do your reps over time and then, you know, you kind of like stabilize towards a certain retention rate. And you know, for most people, it seems to be around like 90, like 85 to 90%, right? But how SuperMemo works is it'll like dynamically tune the algorithm so that you like keep 90% target or whatever you set it to be. So you can set it to be higher or lower, but 90% is like the default case. So basically how it works is SuperMemo will, it'll like schedule cards over time and then see how well you remember them. So it's like with Anki, the default behavior, it's like 1 minute, 10 minutes, and then you see the card in 1 day and then it's considered learned, right? And then that's when the intervals start multiplying. Whereas what SuperMemo does is like on your first rep, it'll say, all right, you know, this card will be shown in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, and so on, up to 20 days, right? It'll collect information on your memory on how well you remember those cards, like how far in the future after the first repetition. So it's like, it'll say, you remembered, you know, 95% of your cards 2 days, like after 2 days, right? And then you remembered 92% of your cards in 3 days. And then you remembered, 89% of your cards in, 4 days, and then like 82% in 5 days, and so on, right? And then so for every rep you do, it adds more information to like the model of your memory, and it draws like forgetting curves for your own memory. So then it'll say if you forgot, 89% of your cards in 4 days, but remembered, 92% in 3 days, then it'll like say, let's say 3.5 days is, when you can remember 90% of your material. So like it collects a whole bunch of data on your repetition history, and then it kind of like dynamically tunes the intervals so that you'll always meet your target. And the effect is that you have a lot less repetitions in the early stage, because one, it's separating the repetitions out further away, so it'll collect information on your memory, but also since it's trying to meet like a specified target, like you can actually study way less than like you might think you need to like meet that 90% target.
Do you find it to be more enjoyable than Anki? Because like you said before, like Anki, you like dropped it,
yeah,
probably because of some inefficiencies with Anki, right? But with this, do you feel like it's easier to stick with it longer?
Yeah, all right. So
because he wants people to do it for life, right? Like the author is doing it for life.
Yeah. So I mean, like that's a really good point that you mentioned too. It's like the use cases of Anki and SuperMemo are like pretty different when it comes to like the core user base. So the like when it comes to Anki, it's I guess better geared towards short-term learning and people who like just want to I guess learn a lot of facts, right, about like a specific topic, right? Yeah. So like language learning, like you got to learn a lot of vocab, you got to do like a lot of sentence cards or whatever. So like Anki is good for that. It's like they do it for like lifelong learning, and they like SRS like everything they come across in their life. And SuperMemo enables this with a feature called like incremental reading, which is basically it's a way to like import like web pages and articles and just like anything that you would like read into the program, and then you can make cards from that material directly in the program. Like you can make closed deletions from that material, and you can just kind of like sift through the document. So if something gets boring, you can like go to another document and learn about something else. So it's like people like SuperMemo users who are like devoted to the program, they like do this like for their whole life, like for hours a day, and they end up with collections of like hundreds of thousands of cards. Like I think the creator SuperMemo, his collection is like 600,000 cards, and it's just like it's like facts about everything. It's like everything you learn, it's like he wants to remember. So it's like that's kind of like the that's kind of like I guess how most SuperMemo users, like the devoted ones, use their program, whereas Anki is better for like learning about like specific things, and just doing like a lot of like facts about specific things.
I was just imagining like his daily like routine is probably also his nightly routine.
Well, like I mean, if you go on his website, and he has like a wiki as well.
Yeah.
Like he talks about his like personal life, and like basically SuperMemo like rules his life, because like he added like all these like scheduling features in to SuperMemo as well, and also has this thing called like a priority list, where you can like enter things you want to do or like tasks you have to do and assign a priority, right. And then the program will figure out when you're supposed to do each thing. So he just kind of like devotes his life to SuperMemo, and then SuperMemo like takes the wheel from there.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not rushing in, having a 24-hour morning Anki routine. You wake up and then Anki goes all the way. That would be pretty wild. But you know what isn't wild? The KoreKara message. And I know, Patrick, this is something you've been working towards ever since you started learning Japanese for 11 whole years. You know your goal was to go to Japan, but it was also to go and craft the perfect KoreKara message. So I know you've
in native Japanese.
In native Japanese. Exactly. Thank you, Eric. So Patrick, in native Japanese, this is what we've been waiting for. The lights are shining bright onto you, and I'm going to pass it off to you to go and bring your KoreKara message to life.
All right, that's pretty inspirational. All right, I guess my KoreKara message in native Japanese would be 皆さんに伝えたいことはただ一つ。 いいねボタンを徹底的にぶっ潰してやってくれ。
Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the podcast. Comment down below if you would ever use SuperMemo.
But you already know what time it is, guys. It's time to shout out our pages. Japan. Suzu, Japan.